This video is brought to you by Straight Goods News, Canada's alternative online news source. Visit straightgoods.ca.
Mr. Mulcair, what was it that you chose on your first question? Talk about the economy. I mean, others could have looked at robocalls or anything but you chose
throughout our campaign, we've been concentrating on jobs. We've been concentrating on the failure of the Conservatives to apply basic rules of sustainable development. That's had a devastating effect on the manufacturing sector, loss of hundreds of thousands of good-paying manufacturing jobs, the attendant pensions, a lot of those jobs being replaced by part-time, precarious work in the service sector. That's the type of thing we think they should be addressing in the budget, and we're trying to make sure that people have that in mind as we go forward.
In your first press conference, you were talking about the fact that you'll never hear me speak out against the oil sands. And in March's version of Policy Options magazine, you have a piece entitled Tar Sands, Dirty Oil, and the Future of a Country. And you kind of were talking about how conservative MPs will talk about the oil sand, or the oil sands, and that term is used to make it sound as though the technology is cleaner than it actually is. So first of all, is it the tar sands or the oil sands? And do you think that strong language you called Stephen Harper's approach immoral, do you think that'll be used against you and people will see you as anti-development?
In fact, I wrote 90% of that in 2010 as the introduction to the French version of Andrew Nikiforov's book on the oil sands. Frankly, they're bitumen sands. They're neither oil nor tar. The French version is closer. I tend to use them interchangeably, more and more oil sands, because that's what's becoming common parlance. But it's not just by changing the terminology that we're changing our practices. The number one problem is we're not enforcing existing legislation, whether it's the Fisheries Act, whether it's the Navigable Waters Act, whether it's looking for the cumulative health effects, protecting First Nations, looking at groundwater as it navigates from one province to the other. We're not enforcing the law. That failure means we're not including all of the environmental costs, which is a basic principle of sustainable development, internalization of costs. That's driven up the value of the Canadian dollar, made it more difficult to export our own goods. We're killing our manufacturing sector, and we're leaving a triple whammy debt to future generations. They are inheriting the largest ecological, economic, and social debt in our history. We've got to change our way of doing things. I'm not against developing the oil sands. I'm saying that we've got to apply the basic rules of sustainable development.
Tories won't tell us. The Tories won't say whether or not they're going to be
trying to define you as a party of big government. So they did it in the House today. They'll probably do it again. So how do you react to it?
The best way for us to respond to that is by showing what our plan is. We're there, of course, as the official opposition, sometimes to call the government to account, to oppose, but more and more you're going to hear us propose. People have a clearer idea of what the NDP is putting on the table as we go through the next couple of years. They're very good at defining their adversaries. We're going to start to define them.
Speaking about Mr. Mulcair.